Hello, this is the Astrofiend. I'm back with another podcast. And pretty much what I'm going to be talking about is Doreen virtue, tarot cards, fake spirituality, spiritual leaders, fakeness, all of that. And yeah, just to let you know, I'm sorry about the sound again. Now it's not skipping or missing words. Now there's this weird electronic sort of sound, and I don't know why or how. Like, it's just one problem after the next. But you know what? There's something I can do right now, and hopefully in the future I could afford to get more technology, better technology, other than my phone, which is newer. I have a newer phone, but it's still used, but it's a newer phone. It's way better than the one that I had before, which was over 2 years old. Anyway, okay, before the whole Doreen virtue sort of fiasco, I've never heard of her. And pretty much the whole fiasco is after a lifetime of doing tarot cards, angel cards, that she denounced it to focus more on her Christian faith, so her faith in Christianity. And I think I mentioned this before in a previous podcast, but I don't really care for tarot cards, angel cards, that sort of thing. And that doesn't mean that I'm being intolerant or ignorant. I mentioned this before, but I love watching the Peace Dealer, aka Mystic Illumination, live videos. And in these videos, each and every one, he does live tarot card readings for each sign. And part of the reason why I'm not really interested in tarot cards is, well, I'm just not. But the reason why I watch his videos is because he does have a lot of interesting information, and he makes it fun and interesting. And I really watch the videos because of his wisdom and his knowledge and his information, not necessarily for the tarot cards. But I only heard about the whole Doreen virtue situation from the Peace Dealer because he recently made a video on that, just giving his thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. By the way, I don't want this podcast to be about Doreen virtue because I really don't have a stake in it, and I'm not an expert or anything like that. I'm just bringing her up to bring up more points later on throughout the podcast. But I'm just gonna say outright, I don't really trust tarot cards. I don't know. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's shame and religion, brainwashing side effects, but it's kind of magic, witches and stuff like that. It's too human for me. Tarot cards is too human. By too human, I mean it feeds easily into our human egos, greed, pettiness, and the darkness of humanity and humans. When I because I follow a bunch of witches on Instagram and stuff like that, and it's interesting and stuff like that. But when I read posts and look at pictures saying, oh, they're casting spells on people and people predicting future, I'm just whoa. There's a lot of self-interest in that. And I honestly feel that us humans, we shouldn't have that power, because it will get to our heads. I know that's a bit odd to say because I am part of the spiritual community, and I'm definitely I'm not knocking down witchcraft and tarots and stuff like that, but as I said before, it's too human. If you know humans, if someone doesn't like someone, then they can cast a spell on them. What gives them the right to do that? you're stepping on some territory that like you may not be prepared for, and like the consequences and stuff like that. Like I just feel, no, like there's a lot of people out there that are like not like, that are mental, that have like mental issues, and like if they could have that sort of power, it could like seriously get to people's heads and could like cause like havoc and like chaos and all that other crap. Like some people are just like not mature enough to handle like those situations, and not mature enough to like just like turn the other cheek and to like move on to be the bigger person. That's what I'm saying about like tarot cards and magic and stuff like that. But I also don't trust like tarot cards specifically. It's because like, where is this information coming from? Like, I'm on the astrology forum called Linda, well, I call Linda Land, but it's like lindagoodman.com. And if you don't know who Linda Goodman is, she's like the grandmother, or like the mother of like modern new age like movements. She's famous for her sun sign books and like her star sign books, and she's like, you know, this Aries sun Scorpio moon person. She's pretty much me. Psych, just playing. But yeah, and this website, this forum, like people like just like, you know, ask questions, and it's very like, it's a socializing kind of thing for people that are into like astrology and tarot and stuff like that. And there was a post on a forum about Doreen Virtue, and this person said that they don't know where they're getting that information. Like, they compare tarot to like Ouija boards and psychics, and they claimed that they're not getting the information from God. Now, I don't like completely agree, because who knows where you're getting that information from, but there is a point like to it. Like, I don't know where you're getting this information from. I don't know if you're being honest and true. Like, I just feel there's like just too many like human implications to like all these like knowledge systems, witchcraft, Wiccan, tarots, doing magic. And I'm not saying everyone is gonna be like evil or like be like malicious and like petty, but that's a part of like human nature. Like we all like respond emotionally to things. Maybe some people less than others, and vice versa and stuff like that, but like we all have a breaking point. We all like get mad, and like with these type of like, I guess you would call them occult like practices, like it's very easy to get caught up. It's very easy to say, this bitch is bothering me, so you know what, I'm gonna cast a spell on that bitch. And like, what are the consequences? That's what I'm saying. Like, as someone that's interested in the spiritual community and like the, I guess you call it quote unquote occult, like these are like real world like situations, and we all heard stories of like people that did crazy shit. And like, who, like, I don't know, I don't think I'll want to put trust in like humans, like even in myself. Like, the only like sort of occult thing that I do is that astrology. Like, I'm not saying that I don't believe in like other faith systems, and I'm not putting them down, but I can also like see it like with like astrology, because like people, like a lot of people depend on like transits and like their progression charts and stuff like that, and that also can like be like dangerous. And like people believing everything that an astrologer like said to them, and like predicting the future and stuff like that, because there's a lot of misconceptions with astrology. Like, one of two like biggest misconceptions is one, that everyone, like pop culture, they always focus on just like sun sign astrology, and that's just like 1% of like astrology. Like people that actually know what astrology is know that's not just sun signs, and that's like a big misconception. The second like misconception is that astrologers like predict the future, and it's sort of like a slippery slope, like I guess like topic and like implications. Like on one hand we have like stuff like transits, and I guess you could call them like future prediction, but it really isn't that. It's, I don't know, it's more of like a guide. You know, like when the weatherman like supposedly predicts like the weather, but it's just like a forecast. Like these things may happen, but they also may not. Like astrology is just, it is about fate, but it's also about free will. Like we have free will. We can like reroute and like change parts of our destiny. You know what I mean? And at the same time, like it is about faith, because I was reading online a couple years ago saying how like some of us choose to reincarnate into the lives that we have today. Like we choose our parents, we choose our like experiences and situations. And I don't know if I fully agree with that, but that's interesting, because we didn't have a choice like to be born at this time and with these parents. But maybe on like the spiritual realm, like we chose to be here. I know like a lot of people won't agree with that and stuff like that. Oh, I didn't choose to be molested by my grandfather, or I didn't choose to be like stabbed by my cousin. These are just examples, like random examples. Like I didn't choose to be incarnated to like abusive parents, blah blah blah, or abusive spouse, or to be put into a poor, impoverished country that's at war with itself. I don't know. These are just like theories and stuff like that. But as I said before, there's a lot of people that really depend on astrologers. Which kind of brings me, I guess, to my next sort of point. Like me personally, the way I like study and follow astrology is more as a spiritual like psychology. Like I use it to understand myself and to understand people and to also understand the world. It's like psychology, but it's spiritual, and I guess maybe occult like psychology. By the way, I hate the word occult. It makes me seem like I'm like, I don't know, worshiping the devil or Satan or Lucifer or whatever. I'm like, hell no, fuck that shit. Like, fuck the devil, fuck Lucifer, fuck Satan, fuck demons, fuck all that, fuck that shit. But yeah, I don't know, it's just like, ugh. It weirds me out. But as I'm saying before, like, I use it as a way to understand myself, the people around me, and also like the world. Like for some reason, like in my like personal opinion, like I feel that like astrology like brings me closer like to God, and also like I don't know, like it kind of renews like my faith in like a higher power. And as I said before, it could be religion-like. Excuse, that was a text. But it could be religion-like, but I don't know. I wouldn't even consider it religion. Like, astrology is religion-like and it's science-like, but I don't consider it that. Like, I think it's just something much more. that for now I don't have the words for and like can't explain. But this just like brings me to like my like other sort of points about like fake spirituality, fake spiritual leaders and stuff like that. Like, to get back to Doreen, like virtue, like there are people that are really outraged and are calling her a fraud and calling her fake because she's denouncing something that she spent most of her life like being involved in and like encouraging people and all that stuff. And like I could understand like the disappointment, the hurt, and the confusion, but at the same time some of y'all are really crazy. Like, how can you turn on like someone that you admired so much so quickly? And like what I'm getting like from all of this is that people are allowed to grow, but they're not allowed to change. Like, logically, this does not make sense at all. Like, how can you grow and like not change? Like, change is literally the only constant in life. Like, as I said before, I don't have a stake in this. I don't know all the details. I don't know much about Doreen Virtue because as I said, I'm not into like tarot cards. But I guess my whole point with all of this is about like, you know, fakeness and like fake spirituality, fake spiritual leaders and stuff like that. And like, what do you consider fake? What do you consider real? What do you consider like fraud? Who's a fraud? Like, who is true? And like looking at all of this, like, we as humans and as people, we don't deal with uncertainty well. Like, we're all drawn to like loud, bold, charismatic people that have all the answers. Faith healers, astrologers, religious leaders, celebrities, blah blah blah. Like, they all tap into that need for us to like be certain about things. And like, and people like raise these like people, like these faith healers, astrologers, religion leaders, celebrities, they raise them up to be higher than what they should and are capable of being. And then once they're like put to this elevated status, these faith healers, astrologers, religious leaders, celebrities, when they do something wrong, and they are, like when they do something wrong, when they make a mistake or a character flaw is revealed, these same people that love them, put them on a pedestal, admire them, get disillusioned and then condemn them. And I'm just like thinking, how? Why like does that happen? I mean, of course it like makes sense, because there are some terrible human beings and that do terrible things, and they should like, you know, be called out for it. And because we all know about like the R. Kellys, the Phil Spectors, like the Roman Polanski, like the people that like do like some shady ass fucked up Jimmy Salvine or Salvine, whatever his name is, like that do a lot of like shady fucked up shit. And because they're talented and because they're this and that, rich, famous, powerful, like they can get away with it. And like, I guess with these people, like people are like not really here for it, like which I agree with. Like, whatever the case, like even when someone does something like minor and And I'm not talking about like if you rape someone, like pedophilia, like that's a no-no. Like, fuck out of here with that shit. I don't care how talented you are, you are going to be judged. And yeah, anyway, but I'm just talking about people that like make minor like mistakes, and are like not perfect and stuff like that. Like how? Cause like even with like the Doreen like virtue like type of person, like people are saying that she's a fraud. They call like the fact that like she made a lot of money off of that, and I feel like people are more angry that perhaps like she profited and will still be profiting after like all of this. And like, I don't know, like, is a person a fraud, or the people that follow them are frauds? I don't know. In terms of that situation, I'm gonna repeat myself, like, I don't know all the details, and I don't have a major stake in all this, but again, like, fakeness, fraudness, and like, I'm gonna tell you right now, the more like I like talk and like do these podcasts, and the more I reveal about myself and my opinions, I know people are gonna think like I'm fake or invalid or being dishonest. And I have a moon in the 3rd house, and like I may contradict myself and not make sense sometimes, because you know I'm speaking like from my head to my heart, mostly from my heart. And I'm also like, you know, trying to figure things out and myself out. Like I may like agree with something one day and like disagree the next day. Of course I'm not gonna be like, you know, flip-floppy, because you know we all have like things that like we're still unsure about. And you know, you just gotta work with it and figure it out. And I know like in this life, as I said before, change is like the only constant. And like figuring things out and like figuring yourself out and what you want and what you believe in, that is a lifelong process. And yeah, I guess that's like my whole like major point about like astrology, spirituality, and all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, like, we do live in the world and we do have to interact with people, but we don't know like what others are like going through, or what they have to deal with, what they have to like figure out and stuff like that. And like, I mean, in terms of like her, like, I guess like sort of situation, like, it's also something that sometimes I think about, because I have like come across people that said that astrology is evil, and that the Bible said that like you shouldn't be like looking at astrology and all that, following astrology, paying attention to astrology and all that crap. And sometimes I do wonder about that, because I was raised in like a religious environment. It wasn't like extremely like religious or anything like that, but like for like a good portion of my life, I went to church every Sunday. I went to a private school, a parochial school. I'm saying that wrong. But yeah, a private like religious school for like most of like my school years and stuff like that. So I do get it and I do understand it. And there is like, I do like think about it. I'm just thinking, am I gonna go to hell for like believing and loving astrology and stuff like that? And like, these are questions that you constantly have to like figure out and ask yourself. I would say that like astrology has been like a big constant like in my life. And I don't know if I'll like ever like denounce it, but there's probably gonna be a time where I may have to just like step back. And you know what, that's a natural process, because like, again, on like the Lindsay Land forum, there's people that have been like following and practicing astrology longer than I have. And like, there's this one person that's very wise and knows what he's talking about, and he's saying that sometimes you may have to like take a couple years and step back from astrology and stuff like that, and that's natural. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole Doreen, virtue, spirituality, fraudness, blah 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 situation. And yeah, this is random, but like a couple months ago, like a while back, when I was still deciding if I wanted to like do the podcast, one of my like, I guess, topics, I was rambling to myself. Because, you know, when you do like podcasts, you're literally talking to yourself with no one around. And it's kind of bizarre and crazy and weird and awkward. But like one of the recordings that I recorded was about like fakeness. And I mentioned like Kanye West, and like, because like people like, they love to like go in on Kanye West. And like, what I mentioned in terms of him is that like, he's double mutable. Like, he has a Gemini sun and a Pisces moon. And I mentioned this previously, but like, mutable signs, like the mutable signs are Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Pisces. And then mutable signs are known for like changing up really quickly. Like, mutable signs, they represent like duality. And like, I mean, there's a mode for like every like sign. Like, cardinal signs are Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. And the fixed signs are Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus. And pretty much the cardinal signs are like the self-starters of the zodiac. And a way you can tell that self-starting is that like the equinoxes, the seasonal changes. Like, Aries is the start of spring, so March like 21st. Like, Libra is usually the time of fall, the start of fall, so like September 21st. I still think that's a little bit Virgo, but it's around that time. The start of winter, December 21st, that's usually the time of like Capricorn. Well, a couple days afterwards, Capricorn. And like, the start of summer, June 21st is, again, a couple of days like after, is like the sign of like Cancer. By the way, it depends on the year, like, and like location, and I guess like hour of like your birth, because random, but there's some people that are like born like March 20th, and they'll be considered like an Aries, even though technically like March 20th is Pisces. So it really depends on like the year and like the location and the time and all that other shit. But anyway, like, the cardinal signs, they're the self-starters. The fixed signs, like, they're fixed. One thing that you know about the cardinal signs, they like to start shit, but they don't like to finish it. They start it and then they move on. That's just like what they do. And like the signs, they pick up where the cardinal signs left off. They're the ones that like finish it. That's why the fixed signs are mad stubborn, and like you won't like get them to like change their mind overnight, or even in like a couple of weeks or months. It may take like years for them to like change their minds and stuff like that. And the mutable signs, they get things moving. Like they get like the fixed signs off their asses. And like the fixed signs, they're still not gonna like be changeable, but like the mutable signs, they put like bugs in like people's ears pretty much. They're like, oh, because I read this somewhere, I forgot who, but like they really like the mutable signs, they get things going. And like Gemini, Pisces, like even if you think about Gemini and Pisces, like Gemini is like it's springtime, but like like Gemini season, there's a lot of communication going on, a lot of talking, socializing and stuff like that. And the reason for it is that Gemini is preparing for Cancer season, and Cancer season is like all about family, all about roots, all about home. And like, how the fuck do you get a family? You gotta socialize. You gotta go out and meet people. You gotta work, stuff like that. That's how you get a family. And even if you look at like Pisces also like get things moving. And Pisces is usually the time of like the winter. And Pisces is the last sign, but it's a cycle. Like technically Pisces can like represent like death, like all forms of it, spiritual and like physical, but like at the same time not really, because technically there's no such thing as death. Like death is kind of a myth, cause off topic, but sometimes I think death is a myth, because when we die, there's like a couple ways that we like get, I guess, quote unquote, get rid of the body. Like we bury it into the ground, and what happens during that time? Like it decomposes, and pretty much we merge into the soil. And what happens when we merge? Like we pretty much provide like nourishment to like plants and like the soil, and like I don't know, from our like decomposed like bits, a new life form can like come out of it, like a tree, or I don't know, ants that like, or worms that be eating like, I don't know, your skull and your flesh. Like they're full. What do? They poop it out. And what do the other, I don't know, like the birds, they eat the worms that ate you. I don't know, it's just crazy. But even if you don't get buried, what about like when I guess you become like ashes? Because some people like burn the body, and like they use like the ashes and they scattered it into the ocean. Like what happens when this gets scattered into the ocean? I don't know, the fishes, I don't know, they eat it up. They eat up the ashes, or the water absorbs like the ashes, and like it becomes some type of like home or like food for like sea creatures. And then a human goes out into like the ocean, the lake. They kill like one of the fish that ate like the ashes. They bring it home. They eat it. It provides nourishment to someone else. Okay, this is getting crazy and too deep. My whole point is that like technically we don't really like die. Oh, and if we, another example, let's say we die in like a car crash, and your organ donor, that's like another, like, you live on like in other people's bodies. Or you have like a blood transfusion, again, you live on in other people's bodies, and then they die, and it's just like a cycle. But anyway, in terms of like Pisces, like, they get things moving so that spring can happen. And during this time, like in the winter, it's cold outside in most places. Well, not most places, but in a lot of places. Some places don't really have winters. But it's cold outside, so you go inside, you plan for the warmer weather. It's very reflective. You shed your like old skin. Like, you just plan for like the spring and for like warmer weather. And like Pisces helps with that and gets that moving. And when Aries season happens, like, it's just like a renewed like source of energy. And everything also like boils down into energy too. But yeah, and to get back to like Kanye West and all that, people like consider him fake, fraud. And I can understand like where they're coming from, but he does a lot of shit. Like, real talk, he like does like a lot of shit. And you know, recently I was watching the Peace Dealers video with this guy named Ryan Sage. I think that's what his name is. But he does peace talks, and he's on his like 50th episode, and he interviewed someone that's part of the spiritual community, and his name is Ryan Sage. And Ryan like brought up a good point, how like Geminis, they're kind of like lost. And if you like notice like Geminis and like US media, like Donald Trump, who's the president, which is crazy. And he's like, Donald Trump is a Gemini with a Sagittarius like moon. So it doesn't get any crazier than that. Like Kanye West, like, he's a Gemini with a Pisces moon. Actually, Kendrick Lamar is also Gemini with a Pisces moon, and Shia LaBeouf, he's also a Gemini with Pisces moon, which means that they're kind of all fucking crazy. But I mean, a lot more than the average person. But technically, we're all fucking crazy. But they're just crazier. I'm not gonna lie, they're just crazier. Sorry. But yeah, like, I would say that, like, how you call someone fake, they're just like living like their truth, or just like trying to express like whatever they have to express. Like, I don't understand his actions, like Kanye West, and I'm definitely not speaking for him or speaking up for him, because no, hell no, sorry, no. But like, I understand. He's living his truth, especially at the moment. And I would say that's what like mutable, like a lot of mutable signs do. And like, I also like semi-recognize this within my own self, because even though I'm fixed dominant, I do have like a Venus in Pisces, and sometimes I feel like it fucks up everything, like in my chart sometimes, because like in terms of relationships, I'm much more flexible. And sometimes I feel like I give up my power. And there's also like me, like, just, you know, blending in and not really wanting to stand out. Just like, you know, just want to like support people and stuff like that. And you know, Pisces, if you know anything about Pisces, I don't know, they love like giving up their power, sacrificing themselves and stuff like that. And like, I do get it, and I do understand it a little bit, which annoys like my other placements too. And like, me being compassionate and me being this, is that considered fake? I know that's a weird question, an odd question to like ask, but yeah, is that considered fake? And like, not wanting to like hurt people and hurt their feelings and all that stuff, like, is that considered fake? I know to like some people maybe, especially like if you're like mostly like cardinal energy or fixed energy, especially fixed energy. But you know what, I do understand that too, because if I don't like you, I'm just not going to like you. Like, I may like my Venus and Pisces like may want to like sympathize with you and stuff like that, but fuck out of here, I'm still not going to like you, and you could still kiss my ass, like straight up. You know, I have a Mercury in Aries in the 8th house, so like I know like I could like be like really like blunt, which is okay, but sometimes I like, you know, keep my mouth shut, because if I like, I'm sure everyone, it's like that for everyone too, but if I were to like say something, someone's gonna take it the wrong way. It's just like facts, like, and I know I gotta keep my mouth shut like sometimes. Those are just like facts. And you know what, I think everyone should just like try to hold their tongue, especially if they're like feeling emotional or mad. Just hold your tongue, because yeah. But anyway, fakeness, this is an ongoing topic anyway, but yeah, I guess that's all that I have to say. And I'm sorry if there's any like weird sound problems and stuff like that, but I can't control it. And what am I gonna do? Stop doing what I want to do and just like give up? No. But yeah, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? I'm mad tired now. Anyways, check out my blog. Peace out. Be safe out here. Virgo season is almost over. It's gonna be Libra season. And yeah, bye.